All right, let's talk about Trump now, I guess, because I'm not upset or angry or anything like that. We just talk about Trump. It's fine. It's fine. But first, let's go to the fan art section to get a little bit of joy before we get all of our anger. This one is from I Require Head Pats, and it is a slime Suris actually wearing almost the full garb as well. That is adorable. That is just precious. And then the next one we have here is from Stoff, Void Chan and Hold Chan being cute girlfriends. Apparently, Void Chan, what happens when I don't start my stream on time, and Hold Chan, the background where the Vulpixes are just worshipping a giant black hole, apparently combined and together, they make just a cute lesbian couple, I guess. Thank you, Stuff. As always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's get into today's topic after I also do a very quick plug for HelloFresh. For those who did not know, HelloFresh is sponsoring the channel right now. If you have trouble going to the grocery store and would instead prefer some meal kits that are sent to your house so you can get some stuff like a build your own burger bar or Tex-Mex pork meatloafs with queso, or even something that looks really fucking indulgent like these garlic butter basted scallops, then head down to the description where there should be a link to my HelloFresh page. If you are a new HelloFresh customer, you will be supporting the channel a crap ton. So go ahead and use my code, and I thank you very, very much. That said, let's go ahead and get into things after we've gotten that little bit of advertising out of the way, because it keeps the lights on sometimes if I'm incredibly lucky. Oh boy. So, did you know that Donald Trump had an altercation recently at a cemetery? Yeah, this one's kind of weird. So, there's another political influencer that I've listened to for a bit, and he had an observation on Trump that was mimicked from another political person to begin with, which was that Trump is the chaos candidate. He is the person who you want to have when you want the White House to be unpredictable, when you want their media flair to be unpredictable, where you don't want politics as usual, you want something that shakes everything up, and you have pure instability. That's not a good thing to have with a leader, but here's an example of that right now. Trump campaign staff had an altercation with officials at the Arlington National Cemetery. Two members of Donald Trump's campaign staff had a verbal and physical altercation Monday with an official at Arlington National Cemetery, where the former president participated in a wreath-laying cemetery. A source with knowledge of the incident said the cemetery official tried to prevent Trump staffers from filming and photographing in a section where recent U.S. casualties are buried. The source said Arlington officials had made it clear that only cemetery staff members would be authorized to take photographs in the film area known as Section 60. When in the cemetery, though, the official tried to prevent Trump campaign staff from entering Section 60. Campaign staff verbally abused and pushed the official aside. What? Why? They're just trying to do their fucking job. Why are you pushing them away? What the fuck? Who okays that? Who on Trump's staff is just like, you know, it's actually really good when somebody tries to stop you from doing something that I would like. When you knock them away, don't worry. I'll give you a presidential pardon when I get elected. You don't need to worry your sweet little head. Don't worry. It's okay. It won't be assault. You're working for me. I bought all the cops here. They all love me. They all call me the best criminal prosecutor of all time. No, that's not projection, because Kamala was not. She didn't do that. No, that's me. Trump is the ultimate entitled boomer. Yeah. So technically, Trump and his staff that were there committed a felony. It looks like it, maybe. Allegedly, Trump participated in an event to mark the 3rd anniversary of a deadly attack on U.S. troops in Afghanistan as U.S. forces withdrew from the country. 13 U.S. service members were killed in the attack. The Trump campaign has blamed President Biden and Vice President Harris, now the Democratic presidential nominee, for the chaotic withdrawal. In a statement to NPR, Steve Chung, the Trump campaign spokesman, strongly rejected the notion of a physical altercation, adding, "We are prepared to release footage if such defamatory claims are made." Just release the fucking footage now. Like, what? Why not just release the footage and absolve yourself? Oh, wait, I know why he's not going to release the footage automatically, because releasing that footage automatically, it means that there's not a story, right? What Trump would want in this kind of situation is a story. He's the type of person who wants somebody to come at him and then him come out on top from them coming at him. That's what he needs, right? This is because Trump has spent his entire career as a media person first, politician second. He knows what looks good for the camera. He knows what looks good for an audience. He knows what makes people root and shout and cheer and jeer and boo. He knows all of the ins and outs of the TV industry. So it makes far more sense for his campaign to try to egg someone on than just go, hey, we'll just go ahead and show you right now, we're not guilty. They'd rather somebody come into their lane and then them respond with, no, actually, look, here. This is the evidence here. Like, they want that back and forth, because that back and forth is another story in the media. It then goes on to say, the fact is that a private photographer was permitted on the premises, and for whatever reason, an unnamed individual, clearly suffering from a mental health episode, decided to physically block members of President Trump's team during a very solemn ceremony. The Trump campaign declined to make that footage immediately available. Yeah, of course they're going to decline to make it immediately available. They want the fight. On Wednesday, the campaign released a video on TikTok that includes Trump's second Section 60 visit. Late Tuesday night, Trump posted a photo on social media of the Gold Star families who had invited him. In the post, the families thanked the president and said that they had invited the campaign to film in Section 60, but filming there would still contravene federal law, which prohibits political campaign or related activities or election-related activities within the ceremony. So they were like, we want you here, but the law literally goes, no, that's a bad move. You can't do that. And Trump was just like, no, I'm above the law. It's okay. It's an official act, or at least I'll make it one retroactively. At the campaign event Wednesday, Republican Vice President candidate J.D. Vance dismissed the story, saying, the altercation at Arlington Cemetery is the media creating a story where I really don't think there is one. Vance went on to add that apparently someone at Arlington Cemetery, some staff member, had a little disagreement with somebody, and they have turned, the media has turned this into a national news story. In a statement to NPR on Tuesday, Arlington National Cemetery said it can confirm there was an incident and a report was filed. Federal law prohibits political campaign or election-related activities within Army National Military cemeteries, to include photographers, content creators, or any other persons attending for purposes or in direct support of a partisan political candidate's campaign. According to the statement, Arlington National Cemeteries reinforced and widely shared this law, and it prohibits it with all participants. Arlington officials updated the statement on Wednesday, writing, to protect the identity of the individual involved, no further information about the incident is being released at this time. Because if they, look, because Trump is the fucking 4chan president, because he's the person that actually, like, goes in and says shit that will rile internet dweebs up, right? It makes sense. They're not going to try to release information that will inadvertently lead to the like more altercations happening with this individual. That's just not a smart thing to do. Not in if you want to preserve their safety, right? CNN had a different report on this, though, saying Donald Trump's campaign is co-managed by the man who engineered the swift boating of John Kerry in 2004, so it should come as no surprise that 20 years later, military service and treatment of veterans are turning into uncomfortable political issues. Trump pivoted from a visit to Arlington National Cemetery earlier this week to an attack on President Joe Biden's Afghanistan policy, a turn that apparently followed a dust-up with an official at the cemetery over the campaign's attempt to use cameras in Section 60, an area where American troops were killed in recent wars are buried. The story was first reported by NPR, the article we just read, but both Trump's campaign and the cemetery have since issued statements. The cemetery statement noted that federal law prohibits political campaigns or election-related activities within Section 60. We've already looked at all of that. Trump criticized Biden's decision to finalize military withdrawal from Afghanistan, although Trump didn't mention he had accelerated that withdrawal during his final months of the White House. Tulsi Gabbard endorsed Trump at the speech. Gabbard, an Iraq war veteran, has been a vocal critic of U.S. military policy. Okay. Cool. Says here also his previous visit to Section 60 also led to criticism. It's notable that the summer is ending with controversy over Trump's decision to visit Section 60 as a candidate, since the summer began with Biden's look back at criticism of Trump's decision as president not to visit a U.S. military cemetery in France in 2018. And comments he made during a visit to Arlington National Cemetery's Section 60 in 2017. Oh, was that the whole bit where he talked about, like, veterans being, like, he doesn't care about people who are imprisoned, he doesn't care about people who are killed because they're the losers and he only wants to associate with winners? Wasn't that whole shit? I feel like maybe I'm misremembering, but I feel like that's the exact situation they're talking about. Let's see here. Anything else in here that I really care about? Kelly had choice words for Trump recently when the former president tried to compare the Congressional Medal of Honor awarded to war heroes with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which honors civilians, and which Trump gave to a Republican mega donor. Oh my fucking God. He gets he gets a bunch of money from a Republican donor and he's just like, here's the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's as good as the medal for people who literally get shot. Oh boy. Oh boy. God, isn't it great? Isn't Trump just a wonderful individual? Don't you want him as president? Don't you want this man? Don't you want this man as your president? Isn't this what you need? Like, you wake up in the morning and you're just like, I want winners. So I want the guy with 15 billion failed businesses, a failed presidency campaign, and also who just kind of fails to articulate anything that is even remotely sensible when you take it off in transcript instead of his charisma. Attacks on walls as well. Military service had already emerged as a campaign issue after Trump's campaign engaged in a concerted effort to question the 24-year military service of Democrats' candidate for vice president. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, the public face of that effort, is Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, who was enlisted in the Marine Corps and served in Iraq. Oh boy. Last Wednesday about the Arlington controversy, Vance deflected back to his criticism of Walz's military record and said Vice President Kamala Harris can go to hell for the Biden administration's Afghanistan policy. All right, fine. If we're crossing that Rubicon right now where we can just go ahead and tell our political opponents that they can go to hell, then that's fine, JD Vance. It's okay. You can go to hell too. It would be a shame if you stepped on a Lego that also gave you tetanus. That would be just a damn shame. That would be awful. That would be so bad. Anyway, exclamation mark, don't know. Anyway, I would say that he makes sense, but only to the 1%, both the rich and the criminals. Well, no, I think that the words he says don't actually have a whole lot of substance in general. He totes cares, though. Red cap. Carps. Look, a red herring. Oy. Either Walz, who did not deploy to Iraq or Afghanistan, or Vance would be the first former enlisted person to be elected nationwide since Al Gore, who enlisted in the Army and was a journalist in Vietnam before he was Bill Clinton's vice president. As former Army Corporal Walter Mondale, who served as a former Navy officer, Jimmy Carter's vice president. Trump campaign's co-manager Chris LaCavita, the operative behind those Swift boat veterans or truth ads that hurt Kerry 2 decades ago, smugly compared the treatment of Kerry and Walz in an interview with Real Clear Politics. Said, do rusty metal Legos exist? We can make them exist. With Trump at 70 years old and most Vietnam War-era Americans in retirement, it's safe to say that no person who served in Vietnam will be elected U.S. president. It's an astonishing detail considering the importance of that war in U.S. history and the fact that it included a draft and the protests that it sparked. For comparison, every president, Republican or Democrat, from Dwight D. Eisenhower through Richard Nixon, served in World War II. So did George H.W. Bush. Carter enrolled at the Naval Academy during the war. A slew of Vietnam War veterans, including McCain, Kerry, and Gore, were on the losing end of presidential campaigns. There are signs of a resurgence of lawmakers who served. Both parties today are showcasing their rising stars who served in either Iraq or Afghanistan. Democrats have Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, and a host of other House members, many of whom gathered on stage at the DNC last week. Republicans have Vance, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, Republican Dan Crenshaw of Texas, and many, many others. Okay. So, that's about everything I can think of on the cemetery incident that happened recently. But holy crap, that's not all there is where Trump is concerned right now. He also had some pretty interesting things to say about Roe v. Wade that I want to cover. Like this lovely little bit here where he said that everyone, including Democrats, wanted the Supreme Court to overturn the Roe v. Wade decision. Everyone. All of us wanted a Roe v. Wade overturned, apparently. Every one of us wanted it. What? His words, every Democrat, every Republican, everybody wanted Roe v. Wade terminated and brought back to the states. Everybody, Democrats, Republicans, liberals, and conservatives, wanted Roe v. Wade terminated and brought back to the states. Trump, facing criticism for appointing 3 of the justices who overturned Roe in 2022, has been delivering versions of this everybody claim for months. But the claim is an up-is-down reversal of reality, especially the part about the views of Democrats. It's not even close to true that everyone or every Democrat wanted Roe overturned. A large majority of Americans and an overwhelming majority of Democrats wanted the Supreme Court to... I lost my place because I ADHD'd. I apologize. A large majority of Americans and an overwhelming majority of Democrats wanted the Supreme Court to preserve Roe in 2022, according to numerous polls. Democrat support of Roe exceeded 80% in many polls and 90% in other polls. So this is a claim that is unusually brazen in how false it is, said Mary Ziegler, a law professor at the University of California, Davis, and an expert on the history of abortion politics. So, yeah, it goes on to talk about how the numbers debunk Trump's lie, but we don't really need to actually go very much further on that because we already know, like, we've already done it, right? Trump is trying to gaslight people into thinking that reality is something completely different than what is actually, like, physically happening right now. Trump's the kind of guy to tell you that gaslighting doesn't exist and you're fucking crazy for thinking so. That's him. I can't fathom this. This is a guy who needs to convince you that he's a successful businessman while he sits on a pile of failed businesses. Convince you that he's the best president in United States history when he is... amongst historians, he is almost always considered one of the top 5 worst presidents in United States history. Up there with the guy that died after 30 days of being president because he caught a deadly cold because he decided to do an entire speech and get pneumonia. Like, out in the fucking cold. Like, that's the level that you have to be as bad as Trump. You have to be a president that just openly sewer slides yourself into doing absolutely fuck all nothing, right? Steigander says, a pillar of fascism by Stanley is called unreality. Yeah, that's what this feels like. This is just unreality. This is not the real life. This is just fantasy. We are all caught in Trump's landslide, but unfortunately for him, there is no escape from reality. He needs to open his eyes, look up to the skies, and see. He wants to convince you that he was just a poor boy, but you should have no sympathy. Ninja says, hey, that president didn't fuck anything up his entire term. Yeah, except his lungs. Orla says, that is a business model just to drive things into the ground or strip them back until there's nothing left. Yeah, you just keep digging and digging and digging and hope that's it. Hope that you survive. Razor says, now you're real. You really are insulting Queen. Look, okay, I'm sorry for the bad joke, but I'm easy come, easy go, a little high, a little low. Any way the wind blows, it just doesn't really matter to me. So that's fine, we don't care about the president's personal safety. Unreality sounds like an analog horror. It does. It does. Seta says, well, another brain cell bites the town? Suris, stop or I'm coming for your tones as soon as you go to sleep. My toes are mine. You will not take them. You will never take them. Anyway, I don't have anything else to say about that particular situation. I really don't. Like, just, he openly lies on social media, hoping to God that you don't fact check him. And then when people actually fact check him, it turns out he's just fucking lying over and over again. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hey, maybe share this video with a friend if you think that this is worth them looking at. Maybe just help support my efforts to learn how to speak faster and more articulate, so one day I can actually compete with Ben Shabibi himself. As always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here. Hey, just wanted to give a quick thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who help keep me afloat and help keep this channel going. YouTube and Twitch are wonderful platforms, but at the end of the day, stability is not one of their strong suits. If you want to support my channel, then obviously Patreon is one of the best ways of doing that. Link is in the description. But I do want to personally thank everybody who has contributed to the channel. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Autumn and Angel, Nixie Chan, Mark Anthony, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that. Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. And everyone else who supports my channel and lets me do what I do full-time. This is a dream job of mine that I never believed that I would be able to take full-time, and with your help, I've been able to do it. So thank you so very much for that. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoy, and I hope you all are having a wonderful time. I will see you all in the next one, hopefully.